What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Off the Mic Sports Network, and we're previewing NFL Week 2. The picks for this week. Wanted to get these to you guys. Loaded week. I mean, it was a very eventful week 1 in the NFL. A lot of things happened. Obviously, the two NBC games really blew everybody away, and then obviously that Monday night conclusion was great win for the Vikings. A lot of questions for the Bears. And let's start Thursday night, the debut of Prime Video's Thursday night game. Actually, a really good one here. Commanders and Packers. This should be very, very interesting. The Packers looked really, really good against the Detroit Lions. Commanders, really kind of a methodical performance. Nothing too inherently impressive against the Giants. Russell Wilson really just stinks. The Packers on the frozen tundras, not really the frozen tundras because it's only September, but at Lambeau Field, they host the Commanders in this game. 3.5-point favorites at home. I think the Packers win here. We'll see how this defense handles, facing Jaden Daniels. They face a relatively immobile quarterback in Jared Goff in week 1, but I'll take the Packers. I got the Packers going to the Super Bowl, and I really like this team. It really is going to be just inherent. It's going to be really key for Jordan Love to take care of the football, because if that's really the one thing that I really am worried about with this team is, can Jordan Love take care of the ball and not turn it over? Because that's really the Achilles heel of this team. Jordan Love has the tendency to really make some dumb mistakes on the football field. Then we get to Sunday, Jags and Bengals, two 1-0 teams. Jags very impressive against Carolina. I thought Carolina was going to be much better, but Carolina looked really bad even despite the weather delay. Cincinnati was lucky to get out of there with a win, man. Like, they were lucky to beat the Browns. The Browns would have beaten them. This is the home opener. I don't think the Jags are really that good. Cincinnati's favored at home by 3.5. I'll take the Bengals to win this game, but it's like I said, I don't think the Jags are very good. I don't think the Bengals are that good, but the Bengals are going to be a lot better than what they were. They just ran into a really good defense in the Browns, who have a lot of talented football players on their defense, and held them to 150 yards. I think the Bengals are they're going to get a win. They're going to get another win here, and a team that notoriously doesn't start well is going to start 2-0. Giants Cowboys. Normally this is a very exciting matchup, but the Giants stink. The Cowboys, I have no idea what to think of them. I'll take the Cowboys, who are favored by 5.5 at home, because I just think the Giants at some point are going to have to go to Jackson Dart. Russell Wilson ain't it. He just ain't it anymore. Like, he is not good. He's washed. So I'll take the Cowboys to win the game. Lions and Bears. This could listen. The Lions did not look very good. Again, but Green Bay and Chicago are different. And Caleb Williams, for all of the hype that I said about him, one of these two teams is going to be 0-2. And I had both these teams in the playoffs. So the Lions, I just think, it's going to be interesting. Ben Johnson, coming back to his old stomping grounds as the head coach. The Bears on a short week. Caleb Williams with all of these questions. Listen, Lions have two new coordinators. I don't know how good their offense is going to be, but I have to go with the known commodity that is Dan Campbell when in doubt here, and I think the Lions will beat the Bears. I don't know if they'll cover. I think this might actually be a competitive game. 6.5 feels like a lot, but also Detroit's a tough place to go play. But I'll take the Lions to win this game, but I think Chicago covers here. But it should be an interesting game. Rams going cross-country to face the Titans. Rams only scored 14 points, but somehow found a way to beat the Houston Texans. This is an interesting one, because normally, as you guys know, I mean, this is going to the Central Time Zone, so this isn't really going all the way east. Going to Tennessee isn't going all the way across country, but still, it's basically a 10 a.m. body clock kick for the Rams. That being said, listen, the Titans may be better, but I think that this is not a great matchup for a rebuilding Tennessee offense and a rookie quarterback in Cam Ward going up against the Rams defense. Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, they got young and talented dudes across that defense. And, Matt Stafford, they had to work through it, and, but they were able to get it done, and, only scoring 14 points. This will be a competitive game. Rams only favored by 5.5 on the road. I mean, granted, but that being said, normally you don't see favorites on the road. Um, I'll take the Rams here. I have more faith in Sean McVay than I do in Brian Callahan, so that's really what I lean in with that. Patriots and Dolphins. This is where week 2 kind of gets bad. The Patriots got kind of embarrassed by the Raiders, and I got to give credit to the Raiders for showing up in that game. The Patriots got a ways to go. They kind of got pushed around in that game. And Geno Smith looked really good. The Dolphins, that being said, the Dolphins probably looked like the worst team in the league after 1 week because they got their butts kicked by Indianapolis, a team that I had a lot of questions going in, and they got absolutely run off the field. So the Dolphins at home, typically in over the course of time, the Dolphins have notoriously owned this when they are in the sun in South Florida. That being said, man, I don't have a ton of confidence. I think Mike McDaniel might have lost this team. You got Tyreek Hill in the news, Tua Tagovailoa. The pixie dust is running off of that. Like, I don't know what this team is, man. I'll take the Patriots. Dolphins are favored only by 1.5 on their home field. I'll take the Patriots to win the game. 49ers and Saints. 49ers are favored by 3.5 on the road. The Saints are really bad. You know, it was a close game that they had in week 1. It was a close game that they had in week 1 against Arizona. They're at home. The key here for San Francisco is who's available. Is Brock Purdy going to play? Because it doesn't sound promising. And is George Kittle's not going to play? George Kittle's out. George Kittle, I think, got put on IR. So the 49ers, I'll pick them to win because the Saints are so bad and they still have Christian McCaffrey. But man, the 49ers, this has been the story of this franchise under Kyle Shanahan. When they're healthy, they are a Super Bowl contender. When they're not, this team is not very good. So if Mac Jones has to start this game, that's a problem. And if Mac Jones has to start multiple weeks, you're not going to be facing New Orleans every week. They're lucky they're facing New Orleans. They're lucky New Orleans is terrible. But listen, the more people that they lose, it's going to make level the playing field because this should be one of the more talented teams. And they've already got Brandon Ayuk's not starting the season. Jawan Jennings is hurt. Like they got dudes hurt left and right on the strength of Christian McCaffrey and how great he is. But who knows about his health if he can make it through the season. I don't know, man. A couple of dog shit games. Bills and Jets. This should be fun because I got to hand it to the New York Jets and I got to hand it to Aaron Glenn. He had those guys ready to play. In week 1 against the Steelers and, had a couple things gone their way and they hadn't had a fumbled kickoff return. They might have beaten Aaron Rodgers on their field, but they didn't. They get Buffalo. Buffalo has this emotional win. You think you're going to have a letdown here. Buffalo's favored by almost a touchdown. I'll take the Bills here, but I actually think the Jets might make this interesting because I don't think that this is going to be a pushover Jets team. I think Aaron Glenn's got some belief in there. And they were playing with some, like Justin Fields was playing with some energy. Their defense was flying around, even though they were giving up points. This will be interesting to see if, maybe they can kind of, sustain and keep this game competitive going up against such a high-powered team like the Buffalo Bills. But yeah, I think the Bills will win, but maybe this is tighter than that 6.5. Seahawks and Steelers. The Seahawks, kind of a heartbreaking loss to the 49ers there at the end last week. The Steelers with that thrilling win. This is the debut of Aaron Rodgers at home. Listen, I don't think the Seahawks are that great. Obviously, they don't have like a lot of their key pieces. And as I've said, generally, my rule of thumb when picking these games is if you have a West Coast team going east, it's not a good proposition. I don't think Seattle's is really that good. I think the Steelers have in past years have kind of blown away expectations. They've kind of just faded at the end. I think the Steelers are going to go to 2-0, man. Aaron Rodgers didn't look like your old 40-year-old man. Like he was slinging it, man. He was making plays. May not like him, man, but you might have to deal with it. This Steelers team could be obnoxious, but as of right now, coming out of the gate, they're going to be feeling good about themselves. I think they're going to be in 2-0. Staying in the division, oh boy. Browns, Ravens. So much going on in this game. Um, so first of all, they're celebrating the 30-year anniversary of the Ravens franchise with the Browns in the building. You don't need me to tell you how petty that is. So this is why Cleveland sports fans just fucking hate the Ravens. Um, the Ravens are angry. They're pissed off. They blew a lead in front of the entire world on Sunday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills. They blew that game. They should have won that game. They were up by 15 with under 5 minutes to go. There's no way you should lose that game under any circumstances. The Browns outgained the Cincinnati Bengals by 200 yards. There's no reason why they should have lost that game. Joe Flacco going to Baltimore should be fun. It should be fun. But that being said, there's a reason why the Ravens are favored by almost 12 points in this game. The Ravens are going to murder the Browns. As I said in Browns Thoughts, I don't think the Browns are going to win a game until October. And it's not changing here. If the Ravens lose this game, there's something seriously wrong with this franchise. You've got the 30-year anniversary of this franchise. That'll actually kind of bring some motivation to the Browns. I just don't think the Browns are that good. And the Ravens, to me, are one of the most talented teams in the NFL, and they blew a game. So Baltimore is going to win by at least 2 touchdowns. They're going to cover this easily. I have no faith in the Browns whatsoever. If you want to try and take a stab at the Browns are plus 550 on the money line. So if you want to go bet some change and try and go win some money and think you're adventurous, go bet the Browns. I'm not doing it. Broncos at Colts. This is a surprising 1-0 versus 1-0 thing. Daniel Jones looked really good. So maybe Shane Steichen, I was too ready to punt on this too quickly. The Broncos, kind of were a little bit disjointed against Tennessee last week. This is an interesting little game. Broncos are favored only by 1.5, but they're the road team. You know what? Screw it. I'll take the Colts here. I had no faith in them, and they showed me something. I know it was Miami, and Miami didn't look interested. Something about this Broncos team and them going on the road again, like another West Coast team going east. I don't know about this in this spot. And like I said, Daniel Jones looked pretty damn decent. So I'll take the Colts here to win this game. Panthers at Cardinals. Panthers were really disappointing to me. I wasn't calling them a playoff team, but I was really impressed with what Bryce Young was able to do near the back half of the season. Cardinals get a nice little win there on the road at New Orleans last week, even though, like I said, New Orleans isn't that good. But, Kyler Murray was fine. Listen, I think the Cardinals will win. This could be a competitive game. Cardinals are favored by 6.5 at home, but I think, the Panthers are they're going to be in for a little bit of a rude awakening early on in the season. And, maybe that we're bound to see a surprise. But like I said, I like this Arizona team. Sneaky good team there. So then we get to Eagles Chiefs. This is the game. This is, to me, the game of the week. And, Eagles were lucky to get out of that game, given everything that happened against the Cowboys on opening night. The Chiefs are 0-1 because they lost in Brazil. And not only that, they lost Xavier Worthy. So they're down Rashee Rice, who's suspended. Xavier Worthy's out. And we don't know how long he's going to be out. And the Eagles favored by 1.5 on the road. Like this, listen, this is an interesting game because we could potentially be staring at the multi-time AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs starting 0-2. That being said, I'm still going to roll with the Chiefs. They're at home. It's their home opener. It's hard for me to see them going 0-2. That being said, I could totally see it because they are down so many significant pieces. And it's really going to be on Travis Kelce and Hollywood Brown to really lift this offense. Their defense is going to play their butts off, but man, like this is a tough spot for Kansas City. And this is the reason why they're an underdog at Arrowhead, which when the hell was the last time that happened? Like it's really hard. The Chiefs are in a tough. I'll ride with them just because there's something off about the Eagles in that opening game. They were lucky to get out of it because the Cowboys are just the Cowboys are kind of just a little bit of a 3-ring circus in their own right. Falcons and the Vikings. This is the Sunday night game. So how about this? JJ McCarthy, back-to-back primetime games to start his NFL career. That's saying something. Falcons lose to the Bucks in their opening game, but it was a really competitive game. Michael Penix looked really solid. Some questions about Drake London. I know this because he's on my fantasy team, so I hope Drake London's okay. Um, so you're in the U.S. Bank Stadium. You're in that loud stadium with everybody doing the skull chant. Um, Short week for Minnesota. I think this is a big spot for Atlanta. Atlanta's 3.5 point underdog. I'll take I'll take the Atlanta on the road here. I like Michael Penix. We'll have to see if JJ McCarthy can do this again because he really played about a good quarter and a half in that comeback. He's a winner. I understand that. And Kevin O'Connell's probably the better coach, but I think in a desperate spot, I think Atlanta needs this because if they start 0-2, like even in a bad division, I think they're going to be in a really tough spot to try and make up ground on, Tampa Bay, who I think is clearly the class of this division. Speaking of Tampa Bay, it's a doubleheader on Monday night. You've got Bucks, Texans. Texans are favored by 2.5 in their home opener. Tampa, interestingly enough, is not going to be playing at Raymond James for the first couple weeks of the season. I just love Baker Mayfield. I miss him, man. Like the Browns were right to move off of him. I'm rooting for this guy. Emeka Ibuka looked incredible in the opener against Atlanta. It was like this offense was flying all over the place. You still got Mike Evans, Bucky Irvin running the ball. Like Todd Bowles is the one thing holding it back. If they let Baker Mayfield be Baker Mayfield, I think they beat the Texans, and I think Tampa Bay goes to 2-0 and Houston goes to 0-2. And then finally, the Monday night finale, the Chargers are at the Raiders. Big win for Jim Harbaugh and the Raiders in Sao Paulo to open up the season. Raiders, big win on the road. Pete Carroll, man, and Chip Kelly, like Ashton Janty didn't even really do anything. This is a very interesting game. Chargers favored by 3.5 on the road. I picked the Chargers to win this division. I think the Chargers will win this game, but this is going to be a lot of fun. I don't think the Raiders are going to be a pushover this year in a division that's really, really good. So I'll take the Chargers to win that game. That's week 2 for you guys. Subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.